More Korean pilgrims here. Good morning. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. No, you're okay. You're okay. 안녕하세요.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's interesting, you know. It's very hard to distinguish between groups and groups of Koreans, but they probably think the same about us over here. But I had a bit of interaction with a group of Koreans yesterday, and it was very, very humorous, very wonderful, very brief, but beautiful. So they might be from that same group. We have to go back and see that window. It's just so good. And those are Brazilians who have come as well. So Brazil to Korea, to the Holy Land, and many others in between. I don't know how to share this morning. I'm a bit I'm wrestling with a few thoughts. When you look at the readings, they're just so good, so amazing, so troublesome. Like you could say, God isn't fair. There's a lack of justice, a lack of fairness. The guys who work all day in the heat, and here we know about heat, you know, July and August, typically 45 degrees Celsius. Not easy. Not easy. That's a companion priest. Haven't seen him for quite a while. Actually, this is a good moment to look up. Look at that little twin-engine plane up there. And then we have the clouds, and he's not that high. Although planes can get above the clouds, 35,000 feet, you know. Way above the clouds. But then that's a long way to the moon. And all the other planets in the solar system. And Isaiah says, as far as the heavens are above the earth, so far are my ways above your ways. And there's so many things in life where we scream, that's not fair. We scream, we protest, there are protests. There's even war over unfairness. People are able to go to war over unfairness. People are able to kill another person over unfairness. That's how serious unfairness is. And we have a parable that turns that around on its head today. Amazing, amazing parable. Absolutely amazing. The workers who are working all day get the same wage as those who came in at the last minute. How does that compute? Well, it computes with the same logic that Isaiah is talking about. As far as the heavens are above the earth, so different are my ways to your ways of thinking and calculating and computing and reasoning and dealing with reality. And a little seed sown on the ground becomes a huge tree. There's an abundance of stars, abundance of atoms, abundance of flowers, abundance of leaves. In our small little planet, there's such abundance. How many leaves are on this tree? Surely more than there are in the Magdala mosaic with 1.5 million stones. We get impressed by our little feats of human abundance, but just imagine the abundance of nature. How many flowers here in these plants? How many atoms? How many people on the earth? And then we start measuring that with our little human criterion. We get scared and scandalized and try to control. We love controlling. We love imposing our ideas of fairness and security. But Gideon has to cut down his 32,000 troops, and at the end he only has less than 1%, 300. And then they don't even have swords and battle formation. They start beating glasses or something, and the same thing with Jericho. You know, our whole idea of security is on its head. Our whole idea of life, of salary. You know, what's a salary? It's a form of having a day's life. And that's the old meaning of it. Even in the parable today, it says daily wage. The daily wage, I will give you the fair daily wage. The daily wage is the dinar, which is still the Jordanian currency. You know, we can see dinar down here. That's the name they use for the currency. And I think that's the word in Hebrew as well. In the Hebrew translation of this text. And Jordan is just down there at the end of the lake, the beginning, the northern part of the present-day kingdom of Jordan. So, and they use the word dinar. Oops. Somebody is asleep. I stopped talking out loud. I was walking along, I didn't see anybody, and then there's this mattress here, and there's a guy there asleep. So, forgive me for talking so loud. And obviously there are people in these tents now. And I had been negligent, not noticing. I hope they sleep well. Somebody just let me know that these Egyptian geese were actually royal birds in Egypt. So I didn't know I was dealing with royalty here these last few years with the Egyptian geese. Nothing is impossible for God. Even an 80-year-old can become the father of many nations, even though he doesn't have a child. And he has to wait for 20 years or whatever it is to get Isaac. And then he's asked to sacrifice Isaac. My ways, as far as the heavens are above the earth, so far my ways are above your ways. What a great image Isaiah is inspired to use to communicate this immensity of difference in God. You know, some of the great European thinkers of the last century or two talked about God being totally different, totally other. But when you drive that to an extreme as well, you lose another very important hinge of reality, that we're made in his image and likeness. And everybody who makes anything leaves their stamp on it. Not an advertising stamp, but it's the quality of their being shows up in the product that they produce. The quality of their training, of their formation, shows up in what they do. And the summer when we were in Switzerland there, we had that tour of the Swiss knife production facility. It was an amazing experience. One of the clear principles they have is that every knife that comes out of there is up to their standard. And that's why it's such a successful company. A Swiss watch is also famous, right? So the creator, the incredible gift of creation, and the extent and immensity of the stars. Now, I'm out to swim this morning. I could count a lot of stars. I was out a little earlier. And they're so far away, as far as the heavens are above the earth. So far are my ways beyond your ways. And you're made in my image and likeness. So which kingdom do you want to belong to? Do you want to measure things with your little ways, or you want to measure things with my ways? And you know, at the end of the day, the greatest definition of fairness is mercy. It's not mathematical equality. It's a fullness of life and reconciliation for the lost and the broken and the deprived. There's a fullness, an abundance, a flourishing, a flowering, a fruitfulness. This is the realm we need to live in. And this is the logic of the whole of Scripture, from the beginning to the end. But we want to control our little square inch, our little square centimeter, which is even smaller, our little square millimeter, or maybe we have it in cubic millimeter. And we fight so hard over these things. Let them go. If they ask you for your jacket, give them your shirt as well. If they ask you to walk a mile, go too. This is the whole logic of everything. They want you to die in the ground, that the seed dying will bear a lot of fruit, all the martyrs. The whole logic is like this, because it's revealing the different logic that's in the kingdom of heaven. That's the kingdom I want to belong to. And that's what makes sense of the evangelical counsels, to leave everything. And what do we have? Well, you'll have 100-fold, and you'll have the kingdom of heaven, which is the real part of the deal. Because if I give up 3 sheep and I get 300, yeah, okay, neighbors will be impressed. My flock grew abundantly. But what's 300 sheep? I'm going to die tomorrow. And then my sheep are, whose sheep are they? We have a whole other kingdom. It's in a whole different level. How could we leverage ourselves? How could we launch ourselves? What kind of a rocket do we need to get out of the gravity of this earth and to think godly, to think heavenly, to think forgiveness, to think let it go, forgive that person. Mercy is the best measure of fairness. You know, one of the things I often think about, having a technical bent in my brain, when I'm walking down the seaside, hopefully we'll be there today, later on, and you see all the waves coming in, you say, how could we harness that energy? And there's so much energy, let's say, just going to waste. All those waves crashing on the shore. And if we could find some invention to capture that energy, it could be completely nature friendly, and it wouldn't be polluting or anything. But there's only one little piece of shore in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is not at all the biggest ocean. Imagine capturing that power. The power that's in the universe, the power that's in one atom in the nuclear fusion of the sun. To enter into this logic. And that's a grace. It's not the power of logic. It's the power of love. So go back and read the parable again about the guys being paid the same amount, those who worked all day and at the end of the day. It's fascinating, really. Fascinating. I think that's enough for today. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators.